Hey everyone, it's Kai from Cool Collectibles back again for another review. This time it's the Kotobukiya horror Bishoujo Pinhead. For all your Kotobukiya statues, click the link in the description below to head on over to Big Bad Toy Store. They ship worldwide, so definitely check them out. Alright, this horror Bishoujo series has been one of my favourites from Kotobukiya. I did start collecting them with their original Jason and Freddy statues. And I think the most recent one I got was Ash from Evil Dead 2, I think it was. But this Pinhead, I'd have to say, in terms of detailing the sculpting and paint application, I think it's right up there with the best in the series so far. So just a quick look at the box art. There's the concept art, and I think the final statue is a pretty accurate reflection of that concept art by Shunya Yamashita. I think that artwork does look pretty damn awesome. There's some typical box art there from this series, but that's pretty much it. So straight on to the statue. Now it does come in two parts. The base here is a separate part. Now through the prototype photos and so on, I was always wondering how they managed to get the figure to stand. And just on the tip of the foot there is a little tiny peg that pegs into a hole in the stand there. And then of course for stability, the side of the dress here also pegs in to the base of the side of the stand. So if you just had the stand on its own, even with this sort of level here, it doesn't actually stand on its own. But once the weight of the statue itself gets put on there, and that peg here is put in place, it actually it seems pretty stable. Now I guess this peg on the side here, if I just sort of zoom in, it's not that aesthetically pleasing, but I guess it's a pretty good compromise, I think, for form and function. I think to have that stability, because if it was just relying on that little tiny peg on the foot, it probably would snap or lean pretty quickly. So I think for the most part, you probably won't see that connection point from most angles that you would have this on display anyway. So I think that was a pretty good decision on their part. The paint application and detailing on the stand is really nice. That sort of gold effect and so on, and patterning is really nice. And of course on the statue itself, one of the key features of course for Bishoujos is always the head sculpt, and this one here is almost terrifyingly awesome. Really does reflect the movie and Pinhead the character, with all of those things sticking out of its head. And of course it's got the sort of beautiful sort of skin texture and eyes and lips that you would expect from the Bishoujo series. And of course it then extends down to the rest of the statue. That's probably as scary as you're going to get it for breasts. So they've got the anatomy pretty much all there for as you'd expect for this series. And of course then flowing down to all the detail in the sort of dress. I love the pin through the belly button there, all of these buckles along there. There's they're not real metal or anything. They're not too soft a plastic. The plastic around these pins and so on here are a bit softer plastic, so there's no real risk of them sort of snapping off. They do sort of bend slightly, as you can see there. But these ones, the belt buckles here, don't seem to bend too much, so just be careful you don't snap those off. But I love the sculpting in the dress there and the flow. So the sort of action pose that she's got there with one leg up and so on, I think they've done a pretty good job with the sculpting. The paint application, I mean, it's pretty much just a sort of a matte black finish. There's bits of sort of golden, not golden, bluish hues through it. As the camera might be picking up that sort of reflective through. And of course, it then all sort of folds down into her feet. So these sort of pins or stilettos, if you want to call them that, through her heel, that's pretty scary too. But that's an awesome way to depict that. And then of course she's got that on the other leg that she's got up. I love the blood or hint of blood on her toenails there. You see it at the bottom there. And then of course there's the fan service up there. I'm not sure if that's meant to mean that she's got no underwear on, but I think you get the idea. And that's pretty much it. Sort of extends on the other side. I love that sort of flesh and blood effect there on the other side. So overall, it's a Beautiful looking addition to this Bishoujo series, and of course I did miss the little cube that she's holding there. I mean, to be honest, I haven't actually watched Hellraiser 3. I think they're saying that this statue is from Hellraiser 3 Hell on Earth. I've only watched the first movie, and my recollection of that is pretty slim at best. But having this rendition of that character along with the other Bishoujo statues in this horror series, I just couldn't pass her up. But on the topic of the others, I might just grab a few of the others to give you a comparison and finish up from there. Right, so here I have Freddy on the left and Ash on the right. And I guess the scale is a little bit different. I'd have to say the new Pinhead is slightly larger. He's probably more in line with how Ash looks here, but the Freddy does look a little bit shorter. I guess she is bending over a little bit in that sort of weird pose, but overall I think the Pinhead here is slightly, I wouldn't say maybe overscaled, just quite a bit taller. Now, you know, Kotobukiya have done that sort of thing with the Street Fighter series as well, where, you know, some of the original ones like Chun-Li and Cammy are a little bit shorter than some of the later ones like Poison, I think, and Ibuki. So I guess it's not too bad on display, and I'll probably have the Pinhead in the middle at the back with some of the original ones at the front anyway. So overall I think she looks beautiful against the existing series. I think the next one that I've got coming is the Michael Myers. Now that does look a little bit sort of more disappointing and a bit more plain, because these costumes here are so iconic, and I guess the mask that they've got in the upcoming Michael Myers is, I think it's just a piece that's just lying on the ground. But I'll have a look at what that's like when I get that in hand. But hopefully you like that quick look at this Pinhead statue. And can click that like and subscribe button and stay tuned for all the upcoming stuff I've got. I do have a few more things coming from Big Bad Toy Store as well in this latest haul, so hopefully you can stick around for all that. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.